Okay, everyone, our mission is to provide complete balanced nutrition for strength and energy.
Ensure complete balanced nutrition with 27 vitamins and minerals, and Ensure Complete with 30 grams of protein.
I occasionally get bladder leaks.
I tried Always Discreet underwear. It absorbs an entire glass of water. It fit like a glove. It just felt like real underwear. Game changer.
It's the protection we deserve.
Did you say I'm 100?
What you talking about, Norman? Only we're with the stars celebrating 100 years of Norman Lear.
Plus, new couple alert.
Absolutely. Well, Kevin, first of all, I want to announce that Kim and I are engaged. She's going to be Kim Kimmel.
Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you Matt Turner.
There it is.
Happening now.
As the winter months approach, CPS Energy and SAWS are making preparations to make sure the water and electricity stay on during severe weather. How those changes, though, could affect how much you pay. Next.
We speak to a local immigration attorney about why the cases of asylum seekers that ended up at Martha's Vineyard could be jeopardized.
And with our summer-like pattern, high temperatures are approaching record territory. I'll be back to let you know when we're most likely to hit a record, along with some new tropical development that's headed toward the Gulf. I'll have an update in just a bit. The News at 5 starts right now.
And first at 5, protecting our power and water supply. When the power went out in the 2021 February freeze, so did the water for many of us.
But now the city's two utilities say that they're working together on a system of backup generators, so that won't happen again. Garrett Berger joins us now live from CPS at a meeting at CPS where SAWS and the energy boards voted a little over an hour ago to allow this plan to move forward. So Garrett, why now?
Now, of course, it all comes from the freeze, but specifically from a state law that resulted from that February freeze. The new law requires SAWS to have an emergency power plan that would keep water pressure levels above what you'd need for boiling water. Now, the water utility had been advised back around 2015 to add generators for pumping stations, but an exec tells us power was so reliable, they didn't think it was necessary at the time. Since the freeze, that view has obviously changed. Part of their new plan would establish generators at roughly 36 sites to serve as backups. 15 of them natural gas generators shared with CPS, with SAWS footing the bill of about $97 million to acquire and install the shared generators, and then CPS Energy operating them.
If we have another event where ERCOT is asking CPS to reduce power, our generating stations at those pumping stations will keep the city in water pressure. We will have water if we have another event like that.
CPS would also get to use the generators to add more power onto the grid when they need it, and the revenues would be split between the two. We asked both utilities how this would affect your rates. Now, for CPS, they say it wouldn't. And for SAWS, it's less clear because although they say the shared generators will not contribute to higher rates, their plan also includes over $100 million more for diesel-powered generators at the other 21 sites. And the effect of that on rates still hasn't been determined. Now, the SAWS exec calls this a win-win for the two utilities, and both boards passed this unanimously. But it's expected to take about 7 years to get it all in place. Live at CPS Energy headquarters, I'm Garrett Berger, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Garrett. And CPS Energy making another announcement today, this one involving solar power. The utility is now partnering up with a renewable energy group known as CARE and a local partner and developer called One Peak Power. The 20-year contract supposed to add 180 megawatts of solar energy to our system. That power would be coming in from Pecos County. That means San Antonio would see 1 gigawatt of new solar power as part of its power portfolio. New at 5, a couple of robbers who were armed with a handgun as well as a wooden dagger when they robbed a Circle K earlier this month. Investigators are looking for them. They say that these are the suspects they're looking for. It happened at the Circle K near Blanco Road and Sir Winston back on September 9th. Investigators say both suspects demanded all the money from the cash registers while threatening to shoot if they didn't get what they wanted. Crime Stoppers offering a reward of up to $5,000 in the case. If you know who these men are, call Crime Stoppers at 210-224-STOP.
A new statement released today following that chaos at Jefferson High School yesterday. The San Antonio School District confirmed 58 San Antonio police officers and 29 district officers responded to a lockdown at the high school. There was no shooting, but given the shooting at an elementary school in Uvalde, panicked parents and heightened emotions led to the chaos. In an effort to educate parents, the school district released a statement today saying, in part, it is important to know that for the safety of all involved, when a school is locked down, students and staff cannot be released until officers determine that the threat has been resolved, give clearance, and lift the lockdown, end quote. The district says they plan to deploy district staff to the scene in the future events to keep families more informed.
We continue to watch the developments surrounding the movement of migrants. Just yesterday, we learned that 3 asylum seekers flown from San Antonio to Martha's Vineyard filed a federal class action lawsuit against Florida's governor, who took credit for the flight. That lawsuit alleges the migrants were tricked onto the plane with the false promise of money, work, and housing. That flight to Massachusetts continuing to raise questions, not just regarding legality, but whether it adds new problems to an already risky journey.
In general, migrants that cross the border and give themselves up to Border Patrol can seek asylum. They're often handed documents needed to plead their case in court, but oftentimes those documents are in English.
And add in the uncoordinated movement of migrants to new locations, and there could be more issues ahead. Alicia Barrera spoke with an immigration attorney who says asylum cases could be jeopardized.
This is the manila envelope many migrants guard with their life, as it symbolizes hope for a future in the U.S. But Elena Cartaya says it's also what has her worried. Because she has 5 days left to appear before an immigration judge in Houston, as stated in the Notice to Appear document issued by the Department of Homeland Security.
The notice to appear being filed with the court. That's what establishes the jurisdiction over that individual, the court's jurisdiction, right? Well, that's the most important document. That's what starts the power. After that, they'll have what's called master hearings. These master hearings are when the court will advise them of their rights, what benefits they do have, what limited benefits, I should say, they do have, that they can seek.
And while filing a change of address can be requested by migrants, immigration attorney Christopher Alonso says ICE was likely not made aware of any changes for the cases of nearly 50 migrants flown from San Antonio to Martha's Vineyard.
They still have their monitoring officer, the deportation officer, that they have to report to. Now they may have an order of deportation in absentia. That means they never showed up.
And this entire situation could really have a negative impact on the asylum cases for these migrants. And while attorney Alonso says that these cases could be reopened, it would really only make it even a longer process, especially since pro bono service legal providers are already at capacity, oversaturated with these immigration cases. Reporting Alicia Barrera, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Alicia. Right now, the search is on for the truck driver who left this deadly accident, which they may have caused. A white SUV found with the front driver's side door ripped from its hinges and a person killed. This was on I-37 in Atascosa County near the Bexar County line. DPS believes they know which vehicle they're looking for. They believe they found the truck involved, but the driver had already run off. This is a picture of a similar truck that the Atascosa Sheriff's Office posted online during their search. But once again, that driver is still on the run. If you have any information in this case, you can call DPS at 210-531-2280.
There appears to be a new trend when it comes to home sales here in San Antonio. For the 5th month in a row, home sales were down. The San Antonio Board of Realtors, or SABOR, says there's been a 13% decrease in sales when you compare August of this year to August of last year. And homes are sitting on the market just a little longer. The average number of days on the market went up to 30. That's 6 more days than this time last year. Now, while those sales are cooling, prices continue to climb. The graphic on the right shows the average price of a home in San Antonio jumped up to $391,000. That's an increase of a little more than $43,000 compared to August of last year. And those looking to buy a home could see their mortgage become even more expensive. That's because the Fed just made it even more expensive to borrow money. So that could further slow down home sales. The interest rate hike is meant to slow down inflation. But as ABC's Morgan Norwood reports, this may not be the last hike.
For the fifth time this year, the Federal Reserve is firing off another rate hike, a move that once again will impact your money, making it more expensive to borrow.
We have both the tools we need and the resolve that it will take to restore price stability on behalf of American families and businesses.
The Fed is raising a key interest rate by 0.75 of a point, and the hope is that it'll help slow the continuing rise on prices on a variety of things, from homes, gas, and food. Americans paid 8.3% more for goods in August compared to a year ago.
I feel it at the gas pumps, I feel it at the grocery store, I feel it at the restaurants, I feel it everywhere.
We're suffering as middle class and lower class people.
But there are signs that higher interest rates have actually helped. The housing market has weakened and the construction of new homes has slowed.
The way it was last year was just not normal, where you had 5-6 buyers for every one home. We're getting closer to that 1-to-1 ratio, which is normal and healthy.
According to the Fed, this interest rate hike won't be the last. They expect interest rates to hit 4.6% in the next year, inflicting yet another round of economic pain for the millions of Americans who have debt. So, for example, if you're carrying a $5,000 balance and are making minimum payments, you're already paying an additional $870 in interest because of rising rates this year. Well, after today's hikes, those interest payments balloon to more than $1,100. And the Fed is also predicting that the unemployment rate, which is now under 4%, could rise as well, saying today it expects it to go up to 4.4% by next year. I'm Morgan Norwood, ABC News, Los Angeles.
We want to take a live look outside with your traffic authority cameras, which we have right here is I-10 at Callahan. You can see that traffic is moving on the upper and lower decks just fine. Nothing to report at this hour.
So far today, high temperature of 94 degrees. That may increase by a degree or so. We'll find out next hour. The average, by the way, 89. We're running above average with this summer-like weather pattern that's in place. For the most part, low to even mid-90s out there. 96 New Braunfels, Mico at 95. Pretty quiet this evening. Standard temperatures falling through the 80s, increasing humidity, and we have an update on that system that's likely to develop into our next tropical cyclone headed toward the Caribbean, along with some record-challenging heat. Talk about it in just a bit.
All right, thank you, Adam. Coming up on the news at 5, mowing and tree trimming troubles, the hazards that are sending some to the hospital, and what you'll want to consider before you tackle that next yard project.
Former President Donald Trump set to fight another legal battle. The case the state of New York is not only bringing against him, but why his family is also being named in the suit. Next on the news at 5.
I'm Myra Arthur here in the newsroom, and here's what we're working on for you tonight at 6 o'clock. He was told that he had a year to live in 2019, but 3 years later, a brain cancer survivor is going strong, traveling across the country to share his story. He'll be in San Antonio for this Saturday's Head for the Cure event. He spoke with our RJ Marquez about his battle and the way the world got to see his fight up close and personal. That story is coming up at 6. Plus, the dust has settled at Jefferson High School after chaos and confusion among parents during a lockdown yesterday. Coming up today at 6, we're hearing from students, parents, and district leaders what they learned from yesterday's situation and what they want to change in the future. All that and more today on the news at 6. We'll see you then.
Thank you, Myra. Former President Donald Trump facing fraud allegations. New York's Attorney General filed a lawsuit accusing Trump and his business organization of deceiving lenders, insurers, and tax authorities. They claim he inflated the value of properties with misleading appraisals hundreds of times over 10 years. The lawsuit also names his children, Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump, and Ivanka Trump, among others. New York is seeking $250 million and also wants a judge to stop Trump and his children from serving as business directors within the state of New York. Trump has previously denied any wrongdoing, and he has called the investigation a partisan witch hunt.
As we head into fall, Yeah, it's prime time to get your yard and your home in shape. That means also inevitable injuries. Last year, nearly 262,000 people visited the ER for injuries they suffered while mowing, cutting branches, or power washing their houses. 12 News 5's Marilyn Morris with reminders to dodge the outdoor danger.
When the yard needs sprucing up, it's tempting to just grab some tools and go. But Power Equipment sends a lot of weekend warriors to the ER.
Lawnmowers accounted for an estimated 70,000 injuries last year. A mower blade rotates thousands of times a minute and can turn a rock or dog toy into a dangerous projectile.
Before you mow, survey for rocks and branches, and always wear closed-toe shoes. When mowing hills, move across the slope, not up and down, except for riding mowers. On uneven terrain, they can be deadly when they tip over.
So unlike hand mowers, riding mowers should always move up and down slopes, not across, and never allow a child to ride with you.
Last year, there were 137,000 ER visits linked to ladders.
Set your ladder on level ground with the base 12 inches away from the wall for every 4 feet that the ladder reaches. The ladder should also extend 3 feet past your roof or workspace.
And while hedge trimmers are great for bushes, avoid using them while standing on a ladder. Use an extension model instead. And finally, when you break out the pressure washer, consider tossing the red Zero spray tip that may come with it. Watch what the power does to this carrot. And be aware of your surroundings so wandering children and pets don't get hurt. Marilyn Moritz, KSAT 12 News.
Let's take a live look outside with live cam. Sky 12 hanging out over the Pearl. Looks like it's nice and shady there in the AstroTurf.
And boy, I tell you what, you're going to need that shade, not just this afternoon, but every afternoon this week.
The sizzler in September, Adam.
That's a good way to put it. Our September sizzler. I like that. High temperatures, a good 10 degrees above average the next few days, and record challenging territory. Take a look at it. Tomorrow up to 99. Same with Friday, of course. It's obviously within the realm of possibility. We could hit 100. And if we do, if we hit it one more time, it would tie for the most 100-degree days in a given year. The record high on Friday, 99, I think we'll be right there. And then by early next week, we'll see those temperatures fall down a little closer to 90 degrees behind a weak cool front. But the warmest 2 days are likely to be tomorrow and Friday. Canyon Lake at 90, Bulverde 92, Divine 95, Pleasanton right now at 94 along with Bandera, and Kerrville at 89. One of the warmest locations, of course, New Braunfels 96 along with Gonzales, and then Cotulla 95, Laredo following suit. Here's the big picture, and actually there is a little cold front off to the north of us. So Wichita's down to 89 right now and some 60s behind that front, but we still have the upper level high. The big blue H pressing down on us, influencing our weather, and it's here to stay for a few more days. But by this weekend, it splits and breaks down, and that's going to open the door for a very weak cool front to move in. So you look at the upper level high with the satellite and radar imagery, and just classic scenario where around the far edges of it, that's where the moisture is. That's where the disturbances go. They ride around the ridge, and that's what's happening. It's not very often that you see severe thunderstorm activity and severe thunderstorm potential in Idaho and Utah, but that's the kind of pattern that we have right now with the disturbance along the west coast, helping to funnel some moisture and energy up there in the parts of the Intermountain West. Again, this high, it's here to stay for the rest of this work week. And then by this weekend, we'll start to notice a few changes. Okay, I want to touch on Hurricane Fiona. Very big and impressive looking storm, of course, strong as well. Very well defined eye, the center of circulation there, Category 4 hurricane with max sustained winds of 130 miles per hour, gusting up to 160 in some parts of that storm. It's likely to not make landfall over Bermuda, not necessarily a direct hit, but definitely affect Bermuda in the coming days by Friday. And in the strongest part of the storm, it would have winds of about 130 miles per hour before it weakens and even affects parts of eastern Canada in the days ahead. We also have Tropical Storm Gaston. That's way out in the North Atlantic, staying there. We're focusing on this area of likely development that's headed into the Caribbean over the next few days, and then once developed, likely to move into the Gulf of Mexico into next week. Here are the latest computer models with it. Notice by Sunday, right in the heart of the Caribbean, Central Caribbean, and then into next week really could end up just about anywhere in the eastern or central Gulf of Mexico. So something, of course, we're watching closely and we'll keep you updated. Let's talk temperatures again and humidity. Dew points down to 60 now, so it's nice to feel that drop in the humidity this afternoon. It's not overly muggy out there. Some dew points in the 50s, others right near 60. Tomorrow, though, this is tomorrow's dew point trend. I do foresee an even bigger drop in those afternoon dew points. So we'll start today, tomorrow at 73, 99 for the high temperature with total sunshine all day long, even triple digits in a few locations, probably New Braunfels, Seguin, south side of San Antonio around Stinson Airport, likely 100. We could do it again on Friday. Fall equinox, by the way, Friday at 8:04, and there's that subtle temperature drop this weekend and into next week.
Just in time for fall, sort of.
All right, Greg, Cowboys set to get back a key player in time for their Monday night matchup.
Get a big help, big lift on the receiving core. At the same time, we get an update on Dak Prescott and his possible early return as well. When we come back, we're talking about Michael Gallup. Should be in uniform for Monday Night Football, and the owner of the Phoenix Suns and the Phoenix Mercury getting out over his controversy. Coming up.
Pro football coverage, powered by Davis Law Firm.
Dallas Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy confirming today the reason for the release of former Warren High School football player Dennis Houston on Monday is to make room on the roster for the return of Michael Gallup. Gallup had missed the first 2 games of the season as he continues his recovery from an off-season ACL surgery, but his recovery is going along better than expected. Now the Cowboys are going to give him every opportunity this week to return to play on Monday Night Football against the Giants in New York. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones also told us during his weekly radio interview that Dak Prescott, who had surgery to repair a fracture just below his right thumb on his throwing hand in the season opener against Tampa Bay, is also on the quick mend.
It really could be a minimal of 2 weeks up here in my mind. Now, that's very optimistic. That is optimistic, but it could be. And he's got the kind of repair there that will allow him not to have a lot of fear about re-injuring. It's just a question of the grip. But it's a big question.
Cowboys kick off Monday night at 7:15 live right here on KSAT 12. Meantime, the Houston Texans are preparing for a trip to Chicago to take on the Bears, still looking for their first win of the season. Former Aggie offensive lineman and first-round draft pick Kenyon Green got his first start in the 17-9 loss to the Broncos in Denver. What are some of the things that Green needs to do from this point on to help him move forward in his NFL career?
I feel like with Kenyon, probably just, him being more, exact on what he's doing, because sometimes he may seem to be a little bit, I know talking to coach, he's probably a little bit slower figuring things out, but now him being in there, he's picking up, faster and faster as we go on. I think he's going to do nothing but continue to strive when it comes to that, and all that takes is reps and repetition. I think he's going to get better.
All right, kickoff on Sunday in Chicago, set for noon. Robert Sarver announced today that he's begun plans to sell both the Phoenix Suns and the Mercury after calls for his removal by current NBA players. Sarver was suspended for 1 year, fined $10 million by NBA Commissioner Adam Silver for using racial slurs and recounting other conversations and his remarks toward female employees. Sarver said in a statement today, in our current unforgiving climate, whatever good I have done or could still do is outweighed by the things I have said in the past. Coming up at 6 o'clock, UTSA, how they're getting along now with all the injuries on their offensive line and the moves they're making to get ready for their next game.
Yeah, they've had a tough few weeks.
Yeah, with tough opponents, right? Yeah.
Thanks, Greg.
We'll be right back. Thanks so much for watching the news at 5 with us.
World News is next. We'll see you back here at 6.